So hello everybody, welcome. This is the first Animas Community Lecture of 2025, so really excited about tonight. My name is Isabella Miller. I can see a few of you that I know. I'm part of the events team here at Animas, and I am so delighted to welcome Lauren Parmar today. Lauren is Animas alumni and founder of MOOD LDN, which is a coaching studio and community for confidence, clarity and growth. Lauren is a transformative coach and meditation teacher and works using a combination of transformative coaching, visualization and meditation, and has led coaching events and workshops that have aided in her mission to transform the lives of her clients. So we're really excited to have Lauren here tonight. I'm going to hand over straight to Lauren in a second so that we're not cutting into any time. But before I do, I just wanted to share some housekeeping rules. So I mentioned at the start, if you do have an AI note taker tonight, please do kindly remove it just for privacy reasons. The chat will be off whilst Lauren is speaking, but I know, Lauren, you're going to open the chat up for discussion at certain points. So I'll keep it off until Lauren indicates otherwise, but you will be able to contact me if there's any problems. You'll notice that we are recording the lecture tonight for our YouTube channel, so please do be aware of that throughout the call. And we ask that you keep yourselves on mute throughout the lecture. And again, if you need anything, you'll be able to chat to me directly. Please do stick around after Lauren has finished lecturing, because there will be time for Q&A as well. So yeah, with that, I'm going to hand over straight to you, Lauren. Did you want to share your slides?
I would love to. Thank you so much, Isabella, and thank you for the lovely introduction. Can everybody see my slides? Excellent. Big thumbs up from Ian. Thank you, Ian. So, hi everyone. Welcome. It's really lovely to see you all. Thank you so much for joining. And welcome to the Mood, the Mastery, and the Mindset of Coaching with me, Lauren Parmar. And I want to start this evening with a bit of a confession, actually, because when Isabella first asked me if I wanted to do this talk, I was really quite pleasantly surprised. It's not something that I was expecting. And my initial thought was, oh my God, how exciting. But also, am I ready for this? Can I do this? And then something really interesting happened. I was making a little vision board for 2025, and I always like to look back at the one that I've done the previous year. And as I looked back at the one from the year before, I noticed that I'd written down, deliver a talk for Animas. And I was like, wow, that's so interesting. I set that intention, I put it out there, I let it go. And I never really expected that it would, maybe manifest as quickly as it did. And I think that's a common theme for a lot of stuff that has happened in my business over the past year. So since training with Animas, my life has changed in quite a few amazing ways, which is really exciting. And I feel as though I'm at this point in my life now where I'm kind of redesigning my life and career slowly but surely, one step at a time. So I got my Animas accreditation on the 8th of December, 2023, so just over a year ago. And tonight I really want to give you a very honest take of everything that I've learned in year one of launching and growing my coaching practice. But I really come to you tonight, not as an expert, not as an expert on coaching or of business, but really as a student of business and the business of coaching. And I'm no marketing expert, I'm no branding expert, but what I've been doing is exploring, experimenting, testing, iterating, and really putting myself out there and not being afraid to get it wrong and to make a lot of mistakes. So I'm going to share some of my biggest lessons with you, but also what some of my biggest mistakes have been, in the hopes that you don't have to make them. So, a couple of logistics from me. As Isabella said, we will open the chat a few times. I'd love to hear some of your contributions as we move through. Also, if you have a pen and paper or a notebook, you might want to grab that, because there may be some opportunities for sort of reflection as we go through. But I'm Lauren, as you know. I'm the founder of MOOD LDN, and I help women to navigate transitions, find their voice, build confidence, and bring their big ideas to life. amongst other things. And that is an elevator pitch that has been through many iterations, let me tell you. These are my social channels on the screen now. So if anyone would like to connect and say hello, that would be amazing. I'm quite active on Instagram, and I am going to talk a bit about social media tonight. So yeah, it'd be lovely to say hello. And I'm also on Substack, and I'm currently writing a 12-part series where I'm sharing some of the tools and methods that I'm using to redesign my life. But to give you a bit of background on me, I am a former actress, and I spent most of my 20s working on and off as an actress, mainly off, which is one of the reasons that I don't do that anymore. But alongside this, I also held various operational roles in different creative industries, from design to architecture to creative production and visual effects. So I really spent, the majority of my career sort of building this kind of creative portfolio career, whilst also simultaneously climbing the corporate ladder. And I really feel as though I did the whole kind of girl boss era thing where I was like hustling and grinding and juggling all these different roles and all these different passions. Until it got to the point where I was starting to feel really lost and confused about who I was and what I was here to do. But after a lot of meditation and a lot of self-reflection, I eventually, thankfully, found my way to coaching. And coaching has had a profound impact on me, as I'm sure it has for all of you. And I don't know about you all, but the deeper I get into my coaching journey, the more I realize just how deeply I think we're all bound by a deep desire to create things that feel meaningful and true to who we are. But at the same time, feeling terrified of putting ourselves out there, of making a mistake, and of getting it wrong. And one of the biggest things I've learned on my coaching journey is that every day I think we fight a battle. We fight a battle between the version of us who is afraid to be vulnerable, to put ourselves out there, and to maybe start over again for some of us, and our higher self, the version of us who believes in the possibility of our own transformation and the success of our businesses. And the version of us who really trusts that we have something of value to say, to offer, and to give. And I really feel that connecting to this higher self again and again, while simultaneously offering compassion to our shadow selves, might just be the greatest gift that we will ever give to ourselves, both as coaches and as people. And while my business isn't turning over, millions of pounds, I have been working on it full time since July, which is July last year, which is something that I'm really proud of. And if you told me a year ago that I'd be here now and everything that's happened has happened, I'm not sure I would have believed you. So I really want to share that to say, building a coaching business is hard, and whatever limiting beliefs you might have, or whatever stories you might be telling yourself about what you might or might not be capable of, whatever challenges you're facing right now, it's really never too late to change that and to rewrite those stories. And I am someone who was held back by fear for a really, really long time. But if the last 12 months have taught me anything, it's that, do you know what? I'm way more capable than I was giving myself credit for. And so with thanks to some amazing coaches, one of whom I can see on this call, Ian, I'm really, really grateful that I'm now moving past so many of these fears and in such an exciting place. So my intention for today is I'd love for you all to come away with a new story, maybe a more empowering and inspiring story for yourself about your business and about what might be possible for you. Because as I said, building a coaching business is not always easy, but it is incredibly rewarding. So I'm going to take us through 3 sections tonight. We're going to talk about the mood, which is about trusting the vision only you can see for your business. The mastery, which is about becoming the next level of you. So this is really about going from doing coaching to sort of becoming a coach. And then finally, the mindset, which has been really, really key for me in the first year of my business. But first, I want to check in with you all. So if the chat can be opened now, if it's not already, I'd just love to hear from you all. What's one word that describes how you feel about your coaching journey right now? And be honest, there's no right or wrong, there's no good or bad. I just love to hear from some of you. Don't be shy.
So I've just opened the chat, but people are all already coming. I'll just read some of the ones that are directed to me. So Sabrina says intuitive, Karen says exciting, Andrea says frustrated, Charlie says stuck, Charlotte shared excited, Sherry, Dakey, Carl said eager, unsure from Cheryl, stagnant from Adam, exciting from Nicholas.
Thanks, Isabella. Yeah, I'm seeing such a mixture here, like uncertain, crossroads, hopeful, intuitive. Mark says, do I even start that journey? Sluggish, neglected. I thank you everyone for sharing, and feel free to keep sharing. I wanted to get a sense of that because I think it is such a roller coaster, right? Some days you're up, some days you're down. And this time last year, I was feeling all of those things. I was excited, terrified, apprehensive, and I think really quite apologetic about who I was and what I was doing. But now, moving into this year, I'm feeling a real shift. And though I know there's still a lot of work to do, I'm feeling a lot more confident about who I am and what I offer. So, keep going. The second question I want to ask you all is, what's one thing that you're hoping to take away from this session tonight? I've sort of set my intention for the session, and I'd love to know, what are you hoping to get out of it? And as Isabella said, there will be time for Q&A at the end. Yeah, I'd just love to know what brought you here this evening. Inspiration. Love it. Ideas, great. A reminder to keep going. Encouragement, beautiful. Want to feel confident about starting again. Action, shift in mindset. Amazing. Thank you so much, everyone. I love to hear this. I am going to do my utmost to deliver as much as I can on this. Motivation, confidence. Yeah. Okay. I feel like already you are my people because so much of what you're saying is like resonating with me so much. So I'm going to, and feel free to keep sharing. We'll keep checking in as we go through, but I want to rip the Band-Aid off up front. I want to talk about my mistakes. So let's get this part out of the way. And by the way, there are many mistakes that I've made in this year, but I'm going to talk about 4 in particular that have really stood out for me. The first one is prioritizing perfection over progress. Like, hands up, who here is a perfectionist? I'm seeing some hands. I can't see you all. I don't know if I've got my screen in the right way, but I'm seeing some hands and some virtual hands. Thank you. Yeah, I really realized with hindsight that perfectionism was slowing me down massively in my business and really holding me back. And I have a very distinct memory, actually, of one of my final cohort sessions with Animas, being coached by a fellow coach on my cohort. And I brought the topic of my website to the session. I'd been sort of making this website in the background, and I'd been sort of working on it for about 6 months. And every day I'd sort of log into it, and I was just like moving images around the page. I was writing loads of copy, and then I'd sort of delete it all and start all over again. And it wasn't until I brought the topic to this coaching session that I realized I'd been really obsessing over all the tiny details of this website as a way to stop me from actually taking different action that would maybe shift the needle more, action that felt a bit scary, that would involve me kind of putting myself out there, but would ultimately move the needle. And of course, the power of coaching, it really unlocked this in me. And I was able to finish the website really quickly. The irony of this whole thing is very little business, I think, has actually come directly through my website. But the lesson I really wanted to share here is that progress is really better than perfection. So an invitation I'd love to offer all of you is the idea of messy action. Messy action is better than no action. And what I've really learned is that we learn and we get better by doing. So messy action. The second mistake I've made, this is related to social media. I realized, I decided early on I wanted to go quite hard on social media and use that as a tool to market my coaching business. But I realized fairly recently, actually, that I've been sort of putting a lot of energy into building a passive audience instead of an engaged community. And I appreciate not everyone might be using social media, but for me, community building has been a really amazing tool that I think has really sort of elevated my coaching practice at a faster speed than it would have happened without it. And I really think this idea of building an engaged community can actually transcend beyond the realms of social media. So yeah, I've always loved writing. I've always loved sort of searching beautiful images. So there's parts of the creation process that I've always enjoyed. But up until fairly recently, I realized that I had no strategy and I kind of didn't know what I was doing. But thanks to some insights of some amazing people, I've made some shifts that have made a really big difference. So I'm going to talk about this a bit more later about what this really means. The third mistake is selling, not serving. And I want to know, like, who feels kind of shivers down their spine when they think of selling, the word selling. I feel like every coach I meet sort of hates the idea of selling. And I think, we're all here to coach. Like, we have a genuine desire to help people. We want to change people's lives for the better. And I think probably all of us deep down in some ways would just love to do this for free for the rest of our lives. And so I think the idea of sort of having to then put a price to and essentially sell our services can feel really uncomfortable. What I've also learned, especially from going full time on my business, is that the fear of not getting paid is also very real. And at times I felt incredibly sort of anxious, panicked, and potentially even needy around potential clients. And this has sort of made me slip into almost a kind of sales mindset rather than a mindset of service. And I think this is something we probably all know, but it's also something that I know a lot of coaches struggle with. So it's something that I think is worth talking about because I'm now reframing how I think about the enrollment process and coming at it from, I think, a much more empowered place. So again, I'm going to talk about this more later. And the final one, and it's a big one, a mistake I made was not living the transformations that I teach. And this is one of the single most transformative insights that I think I've had since I started my coaching journey. I've been working with a really brilliant coach called Joel Burgess, who has really helped me to realize that one of our sort of important jobs as a coach is to live authentically and congruently as who we are, and then to embody and share the message of how we are creating a life and a career that we really, really love. So it's not just about who we are now, but it's who we are aspiring to be. It's about who we're in the process of becoming. And again, I'm going to talk about this in more detail later. But firstly, I want to talk about the mood and trusting the vision only you can see. So what do I mean by the mood? Well, to me, the mood is really about the personality of your brand. It's the energy of your coaching practice, your coaching business. And I know what you might be thinking. You might be thinking, I just want to be a coach. I don't want a brand. I have no desire to have a personal brand. And, maybe you're not even on social media. And that's really okay. And I understand that maybe the idea of having a brand might feel a little bit uncomfortable for some people. But I would also argue that in a sense, we all have a brand. We all have a personal brand, whether we like it or not. And this will really impact the kind of people who feel called to work with us. So as far as I'm concerned, we may as well get really intentional about what our brand is and who it is for. And then it's really up to you to decide how you want that brand to live and manifest, whether that's through social media, through a website, or through another means that feels right for you. But in doing this work, I've really noticed that the right sort of people have started to be kind of attracted into my world, which feels great. So do you have a vision for your coaching business? Do you have a sense of the kind of business you're building or that you would like to build? And feel free to kind of share in the chat your answers to this, or maybe just reflect on it in your notepad. But I'm really curious to know, do you currently have a vision? Is it something that you're thinking about? because creating a clear vision for the type of coaching business I wanted to build was a real game changer for me. And the reason I think it's important to trust in the vision only you can see is I remember when I first told my friends that I was getting into coaching. I remember feeling quite a bit of judgment from certain people in my life, friends, colleagues, people I knew. And I realize it's because they had their own ideas about what it means to be a coach. They had their own ideas about coaching as a practice, as an industry, and not all of those ideas were positive. And I'm a person who will really sort of I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'll really kind of take on other people's opinions, and so it was challenging for me to navigate those opinions. But because I had a very clear vision for my business, the type of business I wanted to build, I knew that the business I would be building would be different from some of the assumptions that they were making. So I really had to trust in the vision that only I could see. And having this clarity of vision enabled me to not get derailed by what anyone else was thinking or saying about what I was doing. And if you are a visual person like me, a fun place to start could be in making a vision board for your coaching business. And my vision for Mood London is evolving, but I knew early on that I wanted to combine coaching with meditation and other sort of holistic self-care practices that I personally use and that have really helped me to feel at my best. So this really inspired the sort of look, feel, and tone of voice and aesthetic of my brand. So here's a little mood board now for my coaching business. And I really wanted Mood London to feel very grounding, but at the same time empowering. I wanted it to feel relaxing, but maybe a little bit mysterious. And I also wanted it to feel inclusive and welcoming, but at the same time have a strong visual identity. And the reason for this is when I looked around at a lot of the other sort of coaching offerings out there, I struggled to find one that I really felt like me. And that's not to say there aren't so many amazing coaching businesses out there, but I decided I was going to essentially create the coaching business that I would love to be a part of. So that's really my invitation to you, is to create the practice that you wish existed. So if you could design your absolute dream coaching business, what would that look like? What style, what visual identity, what message, and what tone of voice would appeal to you? What would you like? And some questions that you might want to reflect on are, what are the tools, methods, and practices that you're using in addition to coaching to support you on your own journey of self-development? So as I mentioned, meditation was such a big one for me. I was meditating every single day. So I decided that I also wanted to train as a meditation teacher so I could bring an additional kind of layer into my coaching practice. And this is something that's worked really well for me. And I think is something that's really appreciated by a lot of my clients. And then what insights or teachings have had the most profound effect on your personal journey of transformation? So thinking about what teachings, what learnings have really been a sort of light bulb moment for you. And if you're ever feeling stuck about what to say, how to communicate, think about those messages, because if they've helped you, chances are I'm sure they will help other people and they will help the clients that you are wanting to attract. So the right people who are aligned to the type of work that you do and the transformations you teach will be kind of drawn into working with you. And a little exercise I'd like to invite in now is a deceptively challenging one, I think. And it's called the Triangle of Clarity. And I got this exercise from David Hyatt, who is the founder of the Do Lectures, and he's an amazing storyteller. I really love reading all of his content. And he says, in order to be more successful than you've ever been before, and in this day and age, you need clarity. Crystal clear clarity about who you are and what you stand for. Because that's how you will stand out. That's how you will cut through the noise. And when your personal brand is strong, people start to associate certain things with you. So what are the words that you would like to be remembered for? How would you like people to describe you or your coaching business when you're not in the room? And I'd love now for someone in the chat to tell me, who are these 3 people? I'd love someone to share the full names of these people, if you know who they are.
Just open chat to everybody.
I see. I'm really hoping somebody knows who these people are, or it's going to ruin my point.
Can you see the chat?
Yes, Brown, Cynic. Yeah, totally. Thank you very much. So exactly. The reason I give this example is I think they are people, their personal brand is so strong. It's so easily recognizable. All it takes is their first name and this one word, and we immediately know who they are. So I want you to have a think now about your triangle of clarity. This is an example of mine, and I'm not going to lie, it's been through quite a few iterations, but this is the current version as it stands. So at the top, I've got what I think is my main word, which I'm coming to understand is really about reinvention. This is a process that I'm really on. I'm reinventing myself, I'm reinventing my life, and I'm helping my clients to do the same. And then at the bottom, I've got 2 sort of steering words which also feed into that. One is about empowerment and the other is about connection. It's about connection to my clients, but also connecting people to each other. So have a think now. And if anyone feels comfortable, I'd love to hear some of your words in the chat, and just move intuitively here. This doesn't have to be your final iteration, but see what comes up for you with sort of gut instinct. It can be to sort of describe your coaching style or, your coaching business. Even just share one word if you don't want to share all 3.
People are. I think I have got the chat open to everybody, but people are
Open. Oh, thank you, Emma. Resilience and growth. Lovely. Growth, strength, wisdom. Gorgeous, Tracy. Freedom. Now. Ooh, I like that, Jane. Connectedness. Harmony, clarity, connection. Yeah, these are so lovely. So feel free to keep sharing them, or, take this away in your own time, continue to reflect on it, but really try and nail down that clarity as much as you can, because this will become what sort of underpins all of the work that you're doing. And it makes it so much easier to communicate ourselves when we have this clarity. Grow, nurture, thrive. Beautiful. Thanks, everyone. So another thing that I learned from David Hyatt was that different beats better. So I often think we maybe have an assumption that what we're aiming to do is be better than the competition, than the other people out there. But better actually implies that you are similar to what already exists. Better means that there actually isn't very much separating you from the next person. And even if you are a lot better, you are still existing within the context of somebody else. So instead, what I think we should be striving for is to be different, to be new. Because when you are different, you force, clients, readers, followers to make a choice. And really, we want our audiences to have to choose between the old thing and the new thing, which is you. And the bigger the gap you can create between the two, the easier it will be for a person to decide, yes, this is 100% the thing that I'm looking for. Or no, this is not right for me. And that is good news for us, because really we want to invite the right people in, but in a sense also keep the wrong people out. So we really want to be attracting clients who are going to have a positive experience with us, who are going to get amazing results so they can leave us brilliant testimonials, and our confidence as a coach will grow. And I honestly feel that, not every coach is right for every client. So invite the right people in, keep the wrong people out. And now I want to share some examples of some strong personal brands that I think are strong. And interestingly, I think they all kind of have a similar message that underpins their brand, but it's kind of communicated in a completely different way. So there's 3 people I want to show you. The first is Stephanie Sword-Williams. So you may be familiar with her. She has a brand called, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on this call, but it's F Being Humble. And as you can see this is just a screenshot from her Instagram grid. She uses sort of bright, bold primary colors. And I would say that her message is very bold. It's very direct. It's strong and it's authoritative. So it's all about unapologetic self-promotion. She's often sort of wearing red and very bright colors. And so I think this really sort of manifests in a really beautiful visual way. You can see the alignment between what she's saying and how it appears visually. Next is Sarita Walsh. This is a completely different style. I really like Sarita Walsh's page. I find it to be very educational, very reflective, and very grounding. I always find myself sort of like, taking a deep breath when I'm on her page. She always gives me something to reflect on, but at the same time, kind of with this underlying message of empowerment about the transformative impact of coaching. And then finally, Kyra the Bold, Kyra Matthews, who is a coach. And I really love her brand. I think it's really bright, fun, energetic. It's incredibly playful, and she really shows her personality. She does a lot of talking to camera, which I think is an amazing way to build trust with your audience. But I really hope that those 3 examples demonstrate that there's really no right or wrong way. There are so many different ways that we can put ourselves out there and show up online. You know, it doesn't have to be talking to camera. It doesn't have to be in written text. You can really find a visual language that works for you if you so choose to use a visual language. And if you aren't a designer, don't worry, I'm not a designer either. I would say Canva is your friend. If you're not already using it, they have some amazing templates that are really easy to edit. So yes, I think now it's time for a little exercise. So if everyone feels comfortable, I'd just like to invite you to sit up nice and tall. And I want to invite you to do a little visualization exercise with me. So let's for a minute imagine that your coaching practice was a physical space. So if you haven't already, just close down your eyes if that feels okay for you. And let's just take a deep breath in together through the nose. And take a sigh out the mouth, let it go. Turning your attention inwards. And for a moment, I'd like you to imagine or visualize that your coaching practice was a physical space. Bring this to mind now and notice, what does this space look like? Is it bright and colourful? Maybe it's clean, refined. Perhaps your space is neutral, earthy, grounded. What do you notice is in the space? Is there a lot of furniture, a lot of books, art, maybe objects of curiosity? Or does your space feel open, clean, spacious? And how do you want people to feel when they enter this space? See if you can imagine them walking in now. Are they calm and relaxed? Or are they energized and excited? Are they bold and direct? And what are they doing? Are they learning? Are they dancing? Are they relaxing on a sofa? Are they making art? What does it sound like in your space? What does it smell like? And what do you notice about the people who are there? Let's take another deep breath in together. Sigh it out and let it go. And when you're ready, opening your eyes and coming back into the space. So I really hope that exercise was helpful. We could spend an hour just doing that, to be honest. So maybe take that away with you and reflect on it more after this session. But a question I'd like to ask you now is to reflect on your existing content or online presence, how you kind of market your business. And does it reflect the vision that you have for your physical space? And if not, what adjustments can you make to bring more of your desired mood into your online presence? So you can think in terms of colors, words, messaging, the way you communicate, and the energy that you're putting behind your content. So I hope this has been helpful so far. I'm going to move into the next section, the mastery, because time is already flying by really quickly. And we can come back for questions at the end. But now I want to talk about the mastery. So what I mean by this, I'm not here to tell anyone how to coach. There are so many amazing Animas coaches and supervisors who are far more experienced at that than I. But what I'm really talking about here is mastering your business by mastering yourself. And firstly, I want to talk about this mistake I made, the difference between an audience and a community. So a passive audience is made up of followers who essentially watch from the sidelines. So they may be liking a post here and there, but they're not truly engaging. So they may be consuming your content, but they don't feel personally connected to you. So maybe this audience is also, they don't feel acknowledged by you. You don't really know who they are. They're kind of there passively, and really the problem with this is they have no loyalty to you. And the communication is very one way. It may be you putting out a load of content, sharing your message, but you're not really inviting them to communicate back, which is kind of ironic, I think, as a coach. It's all about listening. It's all about building relationships, helping others to feel seen, heard, and valued. But this is a mistake that I made because I didn't know any better. I was kind of focusing on growing my following, on likes and other sort of vanity metrics over creating genuine connections and relationships with my followers. But when I made the shift to building a community, I noticed a real shift in energy in my business. And it also made it a lot more enjoyable. So the good news is it's an easy fix to make. So a community, unlike an audience, is really built on trust. And this is a space where people feel seen, they feel heard, and they feel inspired to participate. So it's built on conversation, connection, trust, and turning active participants, and turning your followers, into active participants who will resonate with your message at a deeper level. And this really leads to meaningful conversations, loyal supporters, and clients who already feel invested in your work before they even maybe book a call with you. So it's really about shifting from broadcasting to interacting and creating a space where people feel as though they're a part of something that is bigger than themselves. Because the more people feel connected to you, the more they'll trust you to guide them toward the changes that they are seeking. So some practical actions you can follow. Start conversations, not just posts. So you can do this by asking questions at the end of your posts, but also by doing things like running polls, asking people to share, answer questions on your Instagram story. And make sure you are replying to everyone who leaves a comment or sends you a message. Don't leave anyone hanging. Secondly, can you create a weekly community ritual? So can you establish a weekly ritual for your community that's going to get them engaged and involved in what you're doing? So maybe you can do a Q&A session once a week where you're answering the biggest questions that they have about the type of work that you do. Maybe you invite your community to share their weekly wins, which you then reshare. Or maybe you run a live session. I've started hosting a free weekly meditation for my community every Friday morning on Zoom. And that's been really, really lovely to get to know everybody. And if anyone wants the link for that, I will share it with you at the end. And, find a way to celebrate your community. People love to be seen. They love to feel valued. So highlight the progress that they are making along the way. And finally, can you offer some sort of exclusive value to reward the people who are kind of engaging with your content and actively following your work? So I did this right before Christmas. I wanted to do something for my community. And I thought, what can I do? So I put a poll on my Instagram story and I asked people to vote on which challenge was the biggest challenge they were struggling with at the moment. And the one that got the most votes was confidence and self-belief. So I decided to run a mini confidence challenge where I asked who wanted to join. I put them all in a private Instagram group. And every day I sent them a mini challenge to help build their confidence. And I got them all to engage in the group and share things. And they were all resharing it on their Instagram story. And it was a really lovely way to really get to know the people who are in my community. So, I'm sure you'll come up with loads of different ideas, like maybe invite them to an in real life event. And it doesn't have to cost any money. All it really requires is just a little bit of time and our creativity. And I would say we all know this already, but if in doubt, give. If ever you're feeling anxious, stuck, you don't know what to share or how to communicate online, just ask yourself, who can I help and how can I serve them? And it doesn't just have to be about one-to-one coaching. There are so many different ways that you could offer the skills that you have that will enable you to build genuine connections and relationships with your community so they start feeling a real sense of trust and affinity to you. So what's one way you could start engaging your ideal clients today or maybe tomorrow because it's the evening? I'd love to hear some ideas that you have in the chat. Write them down. I'm going to keep going just because I realize we're short on time, but please do share these in the chat because I'd love to come back to them at the end. The next mistake I want to talk about is selling versus serving. So it may sound obvious, the difference between the two. And I think we all kind of already know this. But if traditional selling often kind of focuses on maybe persuading someone to buy something, it can be driven by targets, maybe by pressure, and maybe by a transactional mindset. And I will admit that when I first went full-time on my business, I did feel pressure to secure new clients, which felt quite overwhelming at times. And in hindsight, I can look back at some of my discovery calls or conversations with potential clients, and I realized that I accidentally slipped into a sort of selling mindset because I really wanted to convert these clients. And, when we're in this sales mindset, we're really in this place of like, what can you do for me? We're really thinking, I need this client. And it can manifest as needing a client rather than wanting a client. And it's really driven by a scarcity mindset. And what I've really learned is when we are so attached to the outcome, we really disempower ourselves as a coach. So it's not helpful for us, and it's definitely not helpful for our clients or potential clients. But instead, when we get back into this serving mindset, it's really about how can I help you? And something I think about all the time before discovery calls now is how can I be unattached to this outcome? And instead of sort of trying to push a solution onto our clients, we essentially co-create possibilities with them. So I like to think that a discovery call is an amazing way to create a portal of possibility for our clients. And when we approach enrollment from an active service, we really shift our entire energy, which is great because, people do want to buy things. People want to buy your coaching. They want to invest in you. They want what you have to offer, but nobody wants to be sold to. So the most aligned clients, they really don't need us to sell to them. They just need to feel seen, heard, and supported in stepping into the transformation that they seek. So when we create the right experience, people will naturally choose to invest, not because they've been persuaded, but because they feel genuinely called to take the next step. So I like to do a little detach and serve ritual before all of my discovery calls. So firstly, the first step that I do is to ground myself, close my eyes. slow it down, drop into presence, and remind myself this is not about me, it is about them. And secondly, you might want to set yourself an intention. Maybe it's saying to yourself, my only job here is to serve powerfully. And whether they say yes or no, I trust that the right decision will unfold. And finally, release attachment. Maybe write down your desired outcome onto a piece of paper and then rip it up, burn it, put it in the bin, throw it away. Let go of any attachment you might be feeling. Let go of expectation, because when you do, you stand fully in your power and you'll coach from a much more powerful place. And finally, anchor in curiosity. And it's really as simple as that. Let go of the pressure, let go of the forcing. And when you enter the conversation from this space, the energy really shifts. And this is how we can become really quite magnetic as coaches. And something I learned from Joel Burgess is care, but don't mind. Care about your clients, care about the results they get, but don't mind. Don't mind whether they work with you or not. And the paradox I'm learning is the less I need a client, interestingly, the more they seem to want to work with me. So I'd like to talk now about becoming a coach versus just doing coaching. And this is one of the biggest lessons that I've learned. I've learned that it's really about becoming a coach rather than just doing coaching. And I'm sort of going to contradict myself slightly here, because I know a lot of this talk has been focused around the marketing, the messaging, social media, and all these amazing tools we can use. But something I'm also learning to be true is that your energy is much more important than your message. So it matters less what you say and more how you feel. Because clients really pick up on the energy behind your posts. They pick up on the energy behind your messaging and also how you show up for them. So an exercise I'd love you to all take away and reflect on after this session is an energy audit exercise. Because your energy really is your most valuable currency as a coach. Where you invest it will determine the quality of your life and your business. And when we become aware of the things that either elevate our energy or deplete our energy, then we can consciously recalibrate how we spend our time, prioritizing what makes us feel expansive and letting go of whatever it is that makes you feel small. So I'd like you to reflect on what are your main energy builders and what are your main energy drains. And another way to think about it with the energy builders is what makes you feel alive. For me, it's all about yoga, meditation, community, meeting new people. So take a moment to reflect on what are your energy builders and feel free to share them in the chat if you like. And then what are your energy drains? What tasks, situations, or relationships even drain your energy? And the task here is really simple. Once you've identified your main builders and drains, can you set an intention to reduce the time you spend on your energy drains and increase the time you spend with your builders? And the reason this is so important is because often we operate from a have, do, be mindset, believing that we need more time, more money, or more confidence before we can step into the version of ourselves that we truly want to be. But I'd like to invite you to flip it on its head. Can you think from a be, do, have mindset? Because when you start embodying the habits, the mindset, and the energy of your higher self now, of the coach that you really want to be, then your actions will start to shift almost effortlessly. So this roadmap is really, going to help you to create the space, the boundaries, and the habits that will bring you into alignment with your highest potential. Because what I've really learned is that success isn't just about what we do. It's about who we are. It's about who we are becoming. So a question I'd really invite you all to reflect on now and be honest with yourself. Are you living the transformations that you teach or that you talk about? And this was a really big realization for me that Joel Burgess also helped me with. I realized that I wasn't really living the transformations that I teach. I was really in this place of hustling, grinding, not taking any breaks, not giving myself time to rest, have fun, or enjoy my life. And there's really nothing that sort of inspires me about that. And it's not how I would encourage anyone to sort of live their life. It's certainly not how I'd want my clients to live. And so I've really learned that part of my own personal transformation is to cultivate more joy, is to find more freedom, is to have more fun in what I'm doing every day. Not waiting until my business is at a certain level, is at a certain point of success, and then I get to have fun. It's having fun now, finding joy now, finding ease, finding flow. And very often, it sounds simple, but we do the opposite. We postpone the things we really want, and we tell ourselves, I'll do this when. We make it conditional. But can we do it the other way around? Because clients will really sort of reflect back the energy. And if you're burnt out, if you're unsure, if you're inconsistent, they'll really pick up on that. But if you're living authentically and congruently your best life in whatever way you can, then your message will really become magnetic and it will really feel clear and authentic. And your clients will feel this. They'll notice it in what you're saying. They'll sense this authenticity and this integrity. And if you feel like an imposter, it's probably because you are an imposter. So that someone once said that to me once, and I was like, wow, oh my God. So this has really helped me to make a big shift. So a really simple business plan is to create and live your dream life as much as you can. And then share your journey, your challenges, your experience, and your learnings along the way. And then help other people to do the same. And it really doesn't matter where you're starting from. It doesn't matter where you're at now. Because the best teacher isn't 10 steps ahead. The best teacher is just a couple of steps ahead. And I want you to think about this map. If your clients are here, they have a desire to change, you're likely somewhere around here. You've been learning, you've been living, you've been hopefully taking steps forwards to transform your life. And now you're giving through coaching, through your content, through the messages that you share. And it doesn't matter that you're not at your ideal future yet. Because there's really something magical about growing and evolving together. And I'm really noticing that the more I share authentically while still sort of positioning myself as an expert, the more clients feel sort of compelled and drawn to, in a sense, go on this journey with me. So we really start building our lives and our careers together with our clients. But can you start living as close to your ideal future now as possible? So a question I'd like you to think about is, who do you need to be to have what you really want? Who is the highest version of you? Who do you need to become to get what you want? And secondly, how would you be if you already had what you really want? So the message in this is, don't wait for your life to change before you change how you're being. Change how you're being, and then your life will change. So be your future self now, or your highest self, whatever you want to call it. And a question that I come back to again and again and again, whenever I feel anxious, whenever I feel scared, whenever I feel confused about what I should be doing, about what the right decision is, about how I should respond, I ask myself this: what would my highest self do? It's such a simple question, but when I ask this question, it always gives me the right answer. And then I embody this energy and I move from this place. What would my highest self do? Okay, we're nearly there. The final part, and this is a shorter part that I want to get onto tonight, is just to talk briefly about the mindset and about the power of belief, because this is what I keep saying it's one of my biggest lessons. These are all some of my biggest lessons, but what I'm really learning is, building a coaching business is hard. There's a lot of uncertainty. Income can be unpredictable, and it's a deeply personal and vulnerable process. So it's really difficult to not take rejection personally. And I also think it's important to say it's really hard when you're just starting out. And I'm sure that most of us on this call have already established ourselves and built careers in other industries. So I think a really challenging part of the process, especially for our egos, is to feel like we're starting at the bottom again. And, we look around at the competition, we look around at other coaches who are more experienced, maybe they have bigger, more followers, more resources than us. But the good news is, when you have nothing, when you're starting something new, belief is everything. So if you have nothing else, if you have belief, I really feel that you have everything. And if there's one thing you go away and work on from tonight, I'd really encourage it to be cultivating self-belief. And, the first year of my business has been really tough. And I've had to push past so many limiting beliefs and fears. I've had to really check my ego at the door as I started social media accounts from scratch with, no followers, built a newsletter audience from scratch with no readers. And I'm going to be 35 this year. And, most of my friends are sort of having babies and they're smashing their high power corporate jobs. Meanwhile, I've been figuring out how to make a TikTok video. And so it's been really challenging having to do all these new things. But I've had to really let go of any preconceived ideas about what my life would look like at this time in my life. And if there's one thing that's kept me going, it is the belief that I have in myself to create an incredible business that will help people, that will help women to transform their lives for the better. And I honestly feel that this is why most of my clients want to work with me, because they see the belief that I have in myself. They see the belief that I have in coaching, and they see the belief that I have in them. And so no matter where you're at now, it really is possible to build your belief. And this is a picture of me and my dog Frank from a few years ago before my Animas journey, at a time where my confidence was at an all-time low. And this was sort of post-pandemic era. And at the time, I felt so frustrated and confused about who I was and where I was going in my career. And I'd spent a long time in my career sort of prioritizing everybody else around me, not speaking up, saying what I really wanted or what I really felt, and kind of putting my needs last. And, after so many sort of setbacks and, a failed acting career, I'd really lost belief in myself and what was possible for me. And when I look at this picture, I can see a sort of sadness in my eyes. Like, you might not be able to tell if you don't know me, but I can see a sadness. And I have so much compassion for my younger self, because I realized that she had so many dreams and aspirations, but she just kept talking herself out of taking action and following through. But Animas really was a huge turning point in my life that changed everything for me. And slowly but surely, I've been rebuilding my belief one step at a time. And I've really learned that belief is cultivated through the actions that we take. And by getting really clear about who we want to be and then showing up as that version of ourselves now. So how would you show up if you already believed that success was inevitable? Can you embody this energy and move from this place? And an acronym I want to share with you all, which has really been quite powerful for me, is ACT. And I want you to remember ACT. Whenever you feel fear in your coaching business, whenever you feel doubt, whenever you feel limiting beliefs kick in, whenever you're procrastinating over posting something on social media, trust me, I have been there. Remember ACT, which is awareness, choice, trust. Awareness is really, about becoming aware of the fact that you've been triggered by something, becoming aware that you're feeling this emotion, these limiting beliefs, not pushing the emotion away, but allowing yourself to feel it. And then remembering that you have a choice. Will you choose to allow this negative thought or feeling to unravel, to turn into this anxious doom spiral where you end up really ruminating on your fear and really beating yourself up? Or can you do something to break the cycle? Can you choose a more positive, empowering thought? And something that really helps me here is physically moving. Like when I feel fear and anxiety, I get up, physically move, shake, dance, walk around the block, do anything to shift the energy. And the final part is trust, which is really about trusting in yourself, trusting in the process of trusting that you already have everything you need to succeed. And the final point I want to leave you with is this. Can you approach your entire coaching practice with the energy of, it is done? And this is sort of a manifestation principle. But can you embody the energy of it is done? Your clients are already on the way. The success you're craving is already yours. The future that you're working towards is already unfolding. Because the subconscious mind, doesn't always know the difference between what is real and what is imagined. And when you show up from this place of trust, like deep trust in yourself, it can be so transformative in your energy. And for me, it's also been really transformative in the results that I have been getting. So step into that energy, serve powerfully, as I know you will, trust the vision only you can see, believe in yourself, and then let the outer circumstances catch up. And remember to embody the energy of it is done. And with that, it is done. This talk is done. So thank you so much, everyone. I really hope that was helpful. I'd love to connect with you. I'd love to hear from you. So there are a few ways there you can get in touch with me. If you scan the QR code, it will take you to my free Substack community. So if anyone wants to get involved in that, I'd love to welcome you. And Isabella promised me that I could mention one final thing, which I'm really, really excited about. Honestly, I still can't believe this is happening, but my first retreat is happening this March. I remember being coached on this during my Animas training. I had a vision that one day I'd be hosting retreats, and now it's happening, which is really exciting. So if you fancy a little getaway in Cornwall with me, come and join me on my spring equinox retreat at an absolutely beautiful venue called Kabila. And there's some pictures here. Kabila is an incredible rewilding project. There's over 100 acres of temperate rainforest. Who knew we had rainforests in the UK? I certainly didn't. So it will be a weekend of Pilates, meditation, coaching, sound healing, freshwater swimming, saunas, delicious food, lots of time in nature and connecting to a really lovely community. So if you're interested in that, I've got a few cabins left. You can scan the QR code. It will take you to my website to read more. And if anyone does want to join, you can take £50 off with the code Animas. Just email me if you want more information. So yeah, that's me done, Isabella. Thanks everyone for listening.
That was absolutely fantastic, Lauren. I was, myself just really taken aback by it, and I'm just seeing so much positivity coming through on the chat. People really inspired by what you shared tonight. So we have got some time for questions, I believe, Lauren, right? We're going to go to past, if that's okay.
Sure. Shall I stop sharing my screen?
Yeah, absolutely. You can keep it up if you want. If people wanted to, maybe we can put that up again at the end.
At the end,
If you want to scan so that they can come along to the retreat, because that looks absolutely incredible. I'm tempted to ask you some questions about it as well.
Ask away.
Yeah, let's take some time for questions. Usually we do ask questions. We ask in the chat, but tonight, did anybody want to just have a burning question they just want to say out into the space? Sandra?
Thanks, Sandra. I think that is such a good question. And I think I'm going to give a very ambiguous answer. I really think it's personal to everyone. For me, I already had a small following on my other channels, but I felt really quite uncomfortable and nervous about posting content about my coaching on my personal channels. So for me, I decided the reason why my business is called Mood London, it's not Lauren Parmar or Lauren Parmar Coaching, is in a sense, it really helped liberate me to have an almost separate identity for my coaching practice. I found that I could really be vulnerable and show up in a way that felt very kind of unique for the new community that I was building. And even to this day, I still feel sometimes a bit uncomfortable posting on my personal channels. But what's been really lovely is that I've now sort of attracted people who are interested in specifically the work that I'm doing with coaching. So I would really say, go with what feels right for you. If you're feeling slightly nervous about people who know you from a previous context seeing you, it could be a liberating sort of option to start something new. But equally, there's value in, leveraging if you already have an existing network. Really good question. I honestly feel like there's no set timeframes. And I think sometimes putting, I get it, it's good, can be good to set targets, but sometimes I think there's a fine line between the targets feeling empowering versus feeling disempowering and pressurizing. And for me, it's really not been a linear journey. Like still to this day, some months are up, some months are down. There's been a lot of inconsistency, which is challenging to navigate. But I mean, yeah, I think for me, when I went full time, it was sort of like I took a leap of faith and, with the expectation that this might not work out and I may have to go back to, another job, but we're sort of here making it work. So I think, again, it's just really, really personal. And I think we're all on our own journey and it's so hard not to compare ourselves to what everybody else is doing. But I think, the important thing is just to keep going. And it really doesn't matter sort of how long it takes. It's just keep moving forwards.
Sabrina, did you?
Brilliant. Thank you, Lauren.
You're so welcome. I think for me, it's just really getting to know them and getting really clear about what they want and then being very honest with myself as to whether I believe and feel that I can help them with that transformation. I always, want to help everybody that I meet. But I think for me, it's more about aligning my message to who I really want to work with. And I do feel I'm in this place now where the clients who generally seem to be coming to me feel very aligned. And I think it's because I've done a lot of that work previously on being really clear about who I am, what I stand for, who I want to help, and my, my beliefs about coaching, my beliefs about transformation. So yeah, I think it's really a feeling, and I think you learn through experience. And also, like sometimes I have worked with clients, like there's been clients where it's like it's gone better with certain clients than it has with other clients. And I'm sure every coach has probably experienced that. So you get familiar with it, I think. Thanks, Sabrina. I hope that helps.
Got a couple questions in the chat. Would you like me to just read them out, Lauren?
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Nini. I have a similar question. Oh, sorry, I'm not reading them in order. So I'm going to start with Rick, who said, did you develop your niche intentionally or did it find you?
Oh, good question, Rick. The thing I've really learned about niching, and I know it's a hot topic, how I really feel about it now is that like you are your niche. Like we are our niche. Like all of your experiences, skills, views, likes and dislikes, passions, like that's what makes you unique. And for me, my niche really emerged when I stopped trying to be someone I wasn't. I stopped trying to like copy what someone else was doing or replicate or emulate what anybody else was doing, and listening to all the sort of gurus who tell you what to do. Like, and I'm not saying that there's a time and a place for like strategies and techniques can be really helpful, but the more I sort of peeled that back and just started to lean into who I really am and what I care about and the things that I love and the tools that I use, the more my niche, I think, started to kind of emerge. But that being said, I did also have an idea of like, the vision that I had for my business. So I think it's a combination of those two things.
Thank you. And then Alini says, I have a similar question to Rick. How did you settle into your proposition? Did you find that it evolved?
Yes, I'd say it's still evolving. I think it's been loads of experimentation, and in hindsight, I realized that I've maybe been overcomplicating it for myself by creating lots of different offers. So my mission really for 2025 is to simplify. And I think it's good to explore. I think I've learned a lot through the process of trying different offers, trying one-to-one coaching, group coaching, all these different ways of delivering coaching. And now I'm really getting a sense of what works for me, what works for my clients, what works for my community. So I think every experience has been valuable in getting me where I am now. But now my mission is simplify.
Thank you. Sarah, who were your mentors and coaches in your journey, and how did they help you in what areas, if you can share?
Great question. I mean, there's been so many great ones. I've been working with a coach called Ash Buddy. Been working with an amazing coach called Sharmadean Reed. I've, all of the coaches, every single coach that I've worked with, even the coaches on my Animas cohort, have been absolutely amazing and fundamental, I would say, in my journey. And Joel Burgess, of course, who I've mentioned a lot during this talk. And they've helped me with different things. I've had, certain coaches that have helped me with the business of coaching. Certain coaches have helped me more with the mindset. So I've really invested as much as I possibly can afford back into coaching, which can feel really scary. Especially when you're just starting out, it can feel incredibly counterintuitive. But I honestly, it's been the best investment, no regrets whatsoever on any of the coaching investments that I've made. And yeah, they've all helped me with different things. And more than anything, they've helped me with coaching. You learn so much about coaching through working with other coaches, through learning what approaches really work for you, what insights work for you. And then I find, I like to think of it as like I'm a little hummingbird. I take a little bit of this, I take a little bit of that. Like it's an amalgamation of all the things that inspire you that then make you you, which then you're able to share with your clients through your own unique lens.
Thank you. Raluca, should you work on building an audience first and then a community, or start with the community mindset, even if you have very few followers on Instagram?
Oh, I love this question. I would say, I'm no expert in this area, but I would really say build the community first. I think if I did it all over again, I'd start with the community in mind, because the best thing about building a community is you don't need thousands of followers. And actually, I would say having a smaller, really engaged, loyal community is going to be so much more valuable for you than having thousands of people in a passive audience. So that's like good news for us. It's like, take the pressure off. Like we don't need thousands and thousands of followers. So yeah, I would 100% start with the community mindset first and build genuine relationships and connections with whoever's there. Because then also they'll be like your day ones who are really sort of backing you from the beginning, and they'll have a real strong sort of sense of affinity to you.
Brilliant. Emily asked, you mentioned that your clients don't tend to come through your website. Is Instagram the main place your clients find you?
It's a real mix, to be honest. I get a lot of clients through referral, through word of mouth. I've had clients come through my newsletter. I've had clients come through LinkedIn, through Instagram, through various networking groups I've been a part of. They've been really useful. But yeah, the majority seem to come through existing relationships that I have or have cultivated online.
Love this question. Could you kindly recommend 1 to 2 coaching books that you found valuable?
Oh, great question. Okay, so for me, I don't know if it's really a coaching book, but Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz has been really transformative for me. And that's actually informed a lot of my philosophy and how I think about coaching. What else? I'm looking at some of the books that I've got up here now, 1 or 2. I want to pick some good ones for you. So again, I don't know if it's really okay. The Prosperous Coach is an obvious one that I think lots of people have read, but it is amazing for the business of coaching. So I do recommend that. And then there's a book called The Power of Letting Go by John Perkis, which has really helped me with sort of limiting beliefs, with finding flow and intuition, which is, again, it's not directly a coaching book, but it's been really helpful for me. Oh, and Claire, Simplifying Coaching. That's a really good one. By Claire. Is it Pedrick? I've got it up here. Someone, hopefully, you know.
Familiar. I see a lot of people nodding to Claire.
Okay, good.
Elaine asked, well done on organising your first retreat. What are some of your insights on organising retreats? I live in the Lake District and have wanted to offer retreats even before I moved here 6 years ago.
Oh, great question. What are my insights running the retreat? It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to do. But it's fun. I'm reading actually The Art of Gathering at the moment, which is a really interesting book by Priya Parker. And that's helping me to really think about my retreat at a deeper level. It's all about the purpose behind why we gather and how we gather people. And it's about being really intentional about how we bring people together. So that's really inspiring me with my retreat. I'm really thinking about what's the transformation that I want people to go through on this retreat? What's the experience that I want to have? And I think in a similar way to that visualization exercise we were doing about imagining your coaching practice as a physical space, and really thinking about this retreat holistically in terms of what is the physical space going to be like, what's it going to smell like, how do I want people to feel, what's the sort of vibe that I want them to have, and just being really intentional about it. I don't know if that answers your questions. If you have any specific questions around the retreat, then I'm very happy to answer those, and you're welcome to contact me directly if you like.
Amazing. So I've got one more question from Rachel, but we do have 7 minutes. So if anyone has a last minute question after Rachel's question, if you're feeling brave, please raise your hand and ask into the space, or we can put it in the chat. What is your maximum amount of clients you would have per week to give them your best and avoid burnout?
Ooh, that is a good question. I honestly think it depends. I think it's a really personal question. I always try to think of it in terms of like, what do I want my life to look like? So on the point of like designing your life intentionally, I sort of realized early on that I don't want to be coaching people one-to-one 5 days a week. There's a lot of other things that I have going on in my business that take up a lot of time. So for me, I've sort of made Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays the days that I coach people one-to-one. And I try my best. It doesn't always work out this way, but I try to stick to just coaching in the afternoons, because I find that's when my energy is at its best for coaching. So I think it's really personal. I think, sometimes we have to go too far one way to realize we've tipped into this feeling of overwhelm. And I've definitely also experienced that, where I'm like, oh, okay, I've taken a bit too much on now. Now, how can I sort of pare it back? Yeah. Sorry, I feel like I'm giving like a politician's answer.
No worries, Lauren, that was great. Are there any last minute questions in the last 5 minutes that people want to share?
Ian. Ooh. That's an amazing question. I think it's growing me massively. I think the two are so intrinsically intertwined now. And I think every step forwards I take on my business is helping me to grow as a person and to believe in myself a little bit more, and to, feel really excited and optimistic about what's coming. So yeah, it's massively grown me. Thank you for that question.
I feel like that might be a lovely one to end with. Lauren, thank you so much. Did you want to pop that slide back on just in case anybody didn't get
Not.
the retreat? And also if there's a way that people can connect with you. I know that you've got your email there, but
Oh yeah, I'll leave this one on for a couple of sets and then I'll go back to the other QR code. Has everyone got this one? Look how gorgeous it is. Come on.
It's amazing.
It really is beautiful. I went there the other week and it's like stunning. The water in the river is so clean, you can just drink it straight out of the river, which blew my mind. And here I am. Yeah. So Substack, LinkedIn, and Instagram are the main platforms that I use. I occasionally dabble on TikTok, but I'm finding that I haven't really had much time to invest in that one. So my final piece of wisdom is don't do too many platforms. Just pick one or two that work for you.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Lauren. I'm seeing so much sort of positivity coming through on the chat. Yeah, it's been amazing. Really, really lovely session to kick off the new year.
Thank you so much for having me. God, for my manifestation to come true.
Brilliant. No worries. It's been great. I don't know if you can see some of the messages here, but I'll keep the room open for a little bit. But I'll draw this session to a full close now. Let's thank Lauren again. Brilliant.
Thanks, Lauren. Thank you everyone for coming. I really appreciate it. It's lovely to see you all.